Yes, yes. So, good morning, all of you. So, today our speaker is Abhijit Devgiri. Abhijit Devgirikar, sir. Sir is founder and CEO of Copper Cloud IoTech Private Limited, which is a startup in the IoT space, which is known as Internet of Things. Before founding Copper Cloud, Abhijit sir has worked in various technology roles at the banking giants like HSBC for over 15 years. He has performed various roles such as delivery management, project management, program management, open source tools architecture, enterprise architecture, and data scientist. In addition to his technology roles, Sir has been deeply involved with the professional training and recruitment of engineering professionals. Sir has conducted campus interviews in over 40 institutes, including IITs and NITs. With this insight into industry expectations, he has also co-founded Lakshya to train young aspirants in the hard and soft skills necessary for the campus to career transitions. Sir is certified Scrum Master, certified professional in project costing and scheduling, a certified solar entrepreneur, and also a certified IBM DB2 database specialist. Along all of these, Sir has very deep connect with the student communities and has been trained students and faculty groups on emerging technologies for 8 years now. He is also adjunct faculty in the Premier Institute at Pune. So, from the PCCUER Department of Civil Engineering and Mechanical Engineering Department, we welcome you, sir. Sir, you can start your interaction with our students.
Thank you very much, sir. First of all, thanks for your kind words and welcoming me into the session. And thanks to everybody, all the students and the faculty members who are in this session. Special thanks to Bhavani sir and Salvi sir for making this session happen. Before I start, Salvi sir, can I ask you to confirm that my audio, video and the slide is coming out okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's make a beginning. So this is going to be a short but very interesting session. And just to clarify, this is not a general session on IoT. We are going to do that also. We'll do that probably first week of June, hopefully, for both mechanical and civil, where we'll talk in much more detail about various aspects of IoT and how to build it and how to use it. Lots of good stuff. Okay. But this session is for a very special purpose that very recently a specialized course has been started in PCCOER. In fact, it has been recommended by the university and by AICT, the governing body in India for education institutes, to start a lot of these courses. And the great part, one part I'm extremely happy about is this course is open to all branches, right? Specifically mechanical and civil, and we will see why that is. Okay. So this session, let me go to the goals of this session. Is very specifically to walk you through what this program is. This program is called minor BE BE with a minor degree in IoT. All right. So this is a really great program, and I think this takes us slightly closer to the international system of academics, where people always have a major degree and a minor degree. So you might have a major degree in mathematics and a minor in physics, for example, or a major degree in mechanical engineering with a minor in IoT, or your major degree will be in civil and minor will be in IoT. And that's a great thing. Okay. And we'll talk about why. But before that, the major goals of this session are to tell you what this course is about, the general outline of what the minors course looks like, why is it such a great opportunity for you, and why we are so excited, including PCCOER, myself, people who are generally interacting with the academic community. We're very excited about these courses. Why is that? Right? And very importantly, encourage you to enroll for this course, which PCCOER has started offering from this year onwards. Last year, the institute started as a pilot with a very small batch in ENTC. We tried it out. People seem to be happy, and there seem to be a lot of value in this course. This year, we are going full-fledged. So effectively, this is the first year where this course is going to be available to you and all other branches. All right. And of course, any questions you may have, I will definitely answer you, right? So to be honest, this is not the first time I'm interacting with PCCOER. I've been engaged for about 6 to 8 months. All right. Just hold on a moment. I think there's a comment here about how many people can participate. But Vanessa, you want to take a look at that because we don't want people to miss out. Or Salvi, sir.
Sir, you just carry on. I'm just that solving that problem.
Sure.
Yeah.
No worries. I will continue. So yesterday we did use Google platform and we had about 120 students. So you might want to talk to Maithili ma'am also on whether she used some different kind of login.
Actually, sir, my login having a maximum limit of 200, but I don't know what is the technical issue. It is not allowing more than. So I will check it. Okay. Meanwhile.
Sure. Sure. I will continue in the meantime. Thanks, Aditya, for bringing this up. So these are the goals of this session, and I want you to ask any number of questions. Yesterday, I had a similar session for ENTC plus CSE batch. They are also going to be eligible for this course. Their course is called Honors Course in IoT. So a major degree in CSE or a major in ENTC with an honors in IoT. For all other branches except for CSE and ENTC, whether it is IT branch or any other branch or mechanical, civil, avionics, logistics. So all of it will be called minor, major degree in your parent branch and a minor in IoT. The great part is this is going to be in your degree certificate. Okay, so this is not an add-on certificate, or this is not something that you are doing from outside and you're going to get a certificate from some third-party agency. This is going to be on your degree certificates. Okay, huge benefit of that. So do ask questions. There are a lot of people here, so post your questions into the chat box. And towards the end of this session, we will answer. So yesterday also we had about 25-30 questions. I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions today also, right? So let's make a start. These are the goals. And let me lay out some background why all this is happening. So roughly around 2-3 years ago, I've been part of, you know, a kind of a collaboration of industry and academics for more than 5-6 years now. And we have always had this concern, and we have always had this talk with HODs and principals and the governing bodies that we need to bring what the students are doing in institutes closer to what the university is going to ask for. Otherwise, there's a very big learning curve. There's a lot of unlearning to be done. There's a lot of learning to be done when you join your jobs or careers on the day one. Okay, so everybody realizes this is there. And second problem is that we need to bring in more hands-on skills. There's a lot of study in engineering studies, but there needs to be more of a hands-on, right? So all of us, along with HODs, faculty, people like us in the industry, have been pushing for a lot of changes, and government is also knowing that. So 2 years ago, something really great started happening. Okay, and that's happening on a lot of fronts. You would see that a lot of new electives are coming your way, right? There are electives in IoT and machine learning. There are electives from non-engineering courses. So you could potentially take an elective in maybe, you know, history or fashion design. Some universities have started doing that. So mixing your humanities courses with technical courses. So larger number of electives. You are seeing a lot more engagement of all colleges, all students at national level events, SIHs and hackathons and everything, which is funded by the government, right? And very importantly, you are seeing, you know, the faculty are being encouraged to take more and more part in industry-based research. So faculty can now bid for industry projects. At the same time, industry people like me are being invited to become part of faculty part-time. So I am myself an adjunct faculty now in 2 colleges in Pune, right? So overall, you can look at it that we are trying to bring industry and the academics closer together. For whose benefit? For yours, for students, okay? And one of the biggest things here is something like, you know, an honors or a minor course being introduced, which is basically you're getting more credits. It's closer to how the international universities work. You will have some minimum number of credits, okay? And in addition to that, you can opt to do a little more study in your 4 years and get a second degree like IoT, right? So what it means is, and this is very important, especially if you're going to apply for higher studies, people will ask, in addition to your curriculum, do you have any more credits? Okay, so this is a credit-based system that's being introduced in addition to your BE degree. It is just great, just great. I love this system. Okay. As part of this change, minor in IoT started. It started by AICT last year. PCCOER started as a pilot batch last year, and this year it's going to be open to everybody, including you, which makes me very happy. We'll come to that why in third or fourth slide from now. Okay, so this is essentially a specialization in IoT, Internet of Things, in addition to your parent stream. All right. And because we have been working with PCCOER, my company is Copper Cloud IoTech. It's a startup entirely focused on the IoT field. Okay. So my company has already been working with PCCOER for about a year in this field. So we have agreed to collaborate to design and execute this course at PCC. Okay. But before anything else, let's start. We've been saying IoT and Internet of Things. I'm sure you have heard this name. I'm sure you have heard the name machine learning or Industry 4 or M2M and kind of things. But let me lay a very quick, groundwork on what is this IoT all about, so that we can put everything in context. Okay. So IoT is a lot of things. If you go to Google and say what is IoT, you'll get a million definitions. IoT is the fastest growing technologies today, not one of the fastest. It is the fastest growing technologies. And when I say technology, let's not have in our mind that, what is a mechanical technology, what is a civil technology, what is a electronics technology. This is a very, very cross-stream technology. Everybody is playing a role in it. All right. So, but to give you a very quick definition, you can think of IoT this way. It's a network of connected objects that we call as things, Internet of Things, which is able to collect and exchange the information. But with whom are we exchanging? Even your laptop exchanges information. Okay, but IoT exchanges information not just with people, but also with other things. Okay, so think of it this way: you have folks in the civil branch would be knowing about site surveys and all, right? So you're doing a site survey using a drone. The drone has an embedded camera. The embedded camera converts whatever it sees into dimensions and uploads it to a server, and people just get an SMS that survey is done. These are drones talking to your things talking to things. That is IoT. In the mechanical side, one of the greatest example is self-driving cars. I will show that example and give a little bit of commentary also. But self-driving car is an entirely IoT platform. Okay, it senses its road conditions, it senses its passengers, it takes appropriate actions, it keeps learning, etc., etc. So a network of things that not just collects and exchanges data with people, but also collects and exchange data with other smart objects. That's what IoT is all about. One of the best ways to explain it is to give examples. Okay, and I've brought examples from field that should be very close to your primary subject. So a few examples: smart cities, lots and lots of focus here. The last 6 months alone, I have spoken at national events involving universities on how to build smart cities. So a lot of focus is being attracted to smart cities. Okay. Next, smart cities at a very grand scale, but at a home, at a single accommodation level. You see home automation. You have seen Iron Man movies, right? What Jarvis does. It's a home automation system. So how do you control? How do you optimize? How do you manage your energy efficiency, etc.? That is all digital home control. That's also part of IoT, right? On the logistics, transport, mechanical industries, autonomous vehicle, as I said, is an entirely an IoT platform. Okay, so this is personal transportation and logistics and materials transportation. I think there's a huge jump towards drones being considered. To be honest, February 2020, 3 companies in India got a pilot license to do home deliveries by drones. So these are like Amazon and Zomato and these kind of players. These are not like Zomato is not a very big company, but it's a leading company in its own right. So those companies have started getting licenses for doing home deliveries over drones. Okay, all about IoT. One of the biggest areas emerging is smart manufacturing. To be honest, 65% of the users of IoT are coming from smart manufacturing. My company, to be honest, almost all of our work is building these systems for the manufacturing sector, which want to use IoT. All right. So huge kind of initiatives are coming up there. And at the same time, a very fast emerging field that nobody has thought about very much yet is smart agriculture. We have spoken, these are terms we read in the news every day, okay? We read about Israeli systems or automated farming, or you read about hydroponics. If you have heard, hydroponics is growing soils in a controlled environment. Without soil, you grow crops, and the entire environment is controlled by IoT. How much water is being dispensed and when, how much weed killer is dispensed, how much light you want the plants to get, how much humidity should be there. So we are currently working with a college in Amravati who's growing strawberries in Amravati using this technology. Okay, so very fast growing field again. And I think again, coming back to both mechanical and civil aspects, construction industry very largely overlooked when we talk. See, the problem is when people talk about IoT in Industry 4, we have a bias. We many times talk about, the computer side of things and the chips and everything. That is not where the magic is. That is the means to get to a goal. The goal is here. We want to build things like smart cities, smart logistics, smart highways, smart manufacturing, which is basically going to be built by you guys. All right. So this is example of construction industry, very fast growing sector, and traffic management. So it's not just the cars, it's the traffic infrastructure. So a smart car is incomplete without a smart traffic light, without a smart pedestrian crossing, without a smart speed breaker, etc., etc. Okay. So, and see, this is not going to happen overnight, but this has started. Now in Pune itself, there are a lot of signals in the city which are having those traffic cameras. And I myself have been, I don't know whether fortunate is the right word, to be fined by a system within 1 minute of standing at a traffic signal without a helmet. In 30 seconds, I got a message from the IoT system that I caught you. And I was very happy, surprisingly, because I'm an IoT guy, right? So this is where the magic is. This is what IoT does. So IoT is one of the very few technologies which is not limited to the technology world. It is changing your everyday life. And very, very few technologies we can say this about. Okay. So I hope these examples have given you a fair idea of what we are talking about, but it's definitely not limited to these. There are thousands of use cases. Okay. So to give you a quick example, the whole IoT thing, started taking off in 2010, where people became aware that this technology exists in their midst. In 2020, there are 50 billion devices on the internet. That is 6 devices for every person on the planet. All right. And that's how fast this technology is growing. So this is about what we are talking about when we say IoT. Hopefully you've got a good picture about this. Trust me, in 5 years time, IoT will become like internet. You never say to anybody, right, that I'm sending you an email over internet. Internet is there. I'm watching a movie over internet. No. So when you say I'm watching a movie, people assume it's over Netflix or Hotstar. Okay, internet is a part of your life. You don't have to underline it. And IoT is going to become like that. Trust me on this. Okay. So let's come to why, when we say let's have a minor degree or let's have a honors degree in IoT. Why IoT? There are lots and lots of things around. There are probably, I think, 12 to 15 subjects that AICT has identified. But a lot of players are picking only 2 or 3 out of that. IoT is there, machine learning is there, data is there. I think everything else is a minor percentage only. Okay. So why is IoT important? Why should there be a minor degree in IoT? Or why don't we ask students to do IoT courses from Coursera or or from AWS or from Microsoft Azure? And why do you want to make it part of your degree? Let me elaborate on that. Okay. And once again, guys, when you have a question, don't wait for the end of this session. Put out your question on the chat box right away. If it is relevant to what I'm talking about right now, I'll answer it immediately. Otherwise, I'll answer it towards the end of the session. Okay. But no question will remain unanswered. So why IoT for minors degree? Let's talk about that. So to be honest, folks, all of us today live in 2 different worlds. Okay. One of our main existence is in the real world. Okay, where there's a house, there's a bench, there's a mobile in our hands, there's a bike that we are riding. These are all real. We are talking to people. These are real world. And we are also living in a virtual world today, right? Because a large part of our waking hours we spend on the internet, discussing things with people on social media, studying things with online courses, or interacting with your professional network over LinkedIn, or looking at your mobile phone on GPS, where am I exactly right now? Am I lost? Right? So technology is not just about bits and bytes. Technology is also about the physical world. Okay. So we need to bridge. When you say that I'm holding a mobile in my hand, and on a map I'm seeing where exactly I am, some magic is happening, right? That the physical and the virtual world are talking to each other. Okay. No, I help people build those home automation systems, right? Where if their tank becomes full, a message goes to their motor to start or stop. Okay. Then we are also building industrial safety systems where there are forklifts moving about a warehouse and there are people moving about a warehouse, and you don't want forklifts and people to collide because generally people lose that battle. So we are taking camera feeds, and whenever a forklift is within 10 feet of a person, we send a signal to the forklift to stop. Now this is very, very real world. All right. So there's a big need to have this magic where the real world and your virtual world are interacting with each other. And honestly, IoT is the only technology today which does this job. Okay. So all machine learning, all data science, all websites, all web apps are very good. Okay. But they are all residing into your computer. Think of it this way: when if some of you have Alexa voice assistant in your homes, okay, you can ask it to do searches, what's the weather today. But when the TV advertisement says that Alexa switch on the light, Alexa is not going to grow hands and legs and walk over and switch on the light. Alexa is going to send a request to an IoT system which is going to switch on the light. All right. Take this example. Now most construction projects, you're having these bridges, let's say. Okay. So 20 years ago, we used to do periodic samplings every 10 years, every 5 years of bridges to assess its strength, whether it is still strong enough. Today, sensors are embedded inside bridges, and you don't have to do this test every 10 years. Every minute, the bridge will tell you its own health, that I'm good, or this pillar is probably developing a crack, etc., etc. So all this is real world, and IoT is the only means through which you're going to do so, right? And this is not just one or two sectors. I'm going to put a name of a few industry sectors here. All of these sectors are in a mad rush to adopt these technologies. I'll not read it out. I've just picked the biggest ones, but you could name any industry sector today. You could pick the food industry. You could put education, right? Every school comes up with, before asking syllabus mein kya hai, parents ask teachers ki school bus mein GPS hai kya? Will I know whether my son is or daughter is left the school or not? Okay. Manufacturing, I would like to particularly mention, almost 70-75% of demand for these technologies, and IoT is not one technology, it's a lot of technologies together. 70-75% of demand comes from manufacturing. Okay, so just imagine if manufacturing sector doesn't know what is IoT, what are the IoT guys building and who are they building it for, right? Same goes for civil projects also. So all these sectors together, they may not know the technical terms that we engineers know, but they are all in a rush to get educated on IoT and Industry 4. And that's the reason for my company to exist. And to give you another example of how fast this awareness is growing, I started this company in 2018. At that time, we used to take a very small demo kit to factory owners and construction engineers and all, and show them that this is what this technology can do for you. And 3 years ago, these people had never heard of it. They'd never heard of IoT. They'd never heard of Industry 4. I'll talk about Industry 4.0 in a minute from now. All right. That was 3 years ago. We needed 2 hours to tell people what this is. Today, when we start talking to these same people, they're saying, yeah, we know, we have tied up with 4 other companies like us, and we are looking for a supplier and provider for this technology. In 3 years, this massive change has happened. Okay. So these are all the industry sectors that want to participate in this technology. Okay. And that's primarily because it's a real world technology. All these are very real world industries. Transport is on the road, manufacturing machines are on the shop floor, bridges are there in the real world, buildings are being built with real world. Okay, so these are not bits and bytes technology industries, these are real world industries. That's why they need real world technologies like IoT. Okay, and what is this Industry 4? Let's talk about that for just a minute. And I'm very happy to know that we have started getting questions. So while I'm on this slide, there's a question from Tanya that how is it used in sports industry? Okay, so many ways, but I'll give you a small example. Have you seen last 2 to 3 years that you are getting let's take one example from cricket, that when somebody bowls a ball towards a wicket, you can track where that ball is going to a fractions of a second. Okay, that's how the third umpire sees whether the ball missed or hit, or was it an LBW or what was it. Immediately, instantly, in 1 second, you get metrics that in the last 5 years, who has bowled their ball with such a high speed, etc., etc. That is the part that we see on the TV. There's a much bigger part of IoT to sports industry. If you go to any of the sports institutes in Amravati, there's one of the biggest, Hanuman Vyayam Shala. There's an Army Sports Institute in Pune. In the training, how do you train for being good at your sport, right? You have to measure your performance. How do you measure your performance? We don't do it with eyes. Things move too fast. A tennis player, for example, a runner, for example, a shooter, somebody like Abhinav Bindra, who brought us the Olympic gold in shooting. Everything is tracked through sensors and all, and that's one example I'm saying from sports. That's how people know how good they're doing, and the sensors tell them why they need to become better. Big industry, very big industry. Okay, but thanks for asking that question from sports, because usually people don't think of these out of the way industries, etc. Okay, so let's talk about Industry 4. So Industry 4 is basically the next generation of technologies, and not just technology, the industries we are talking about. A brief history lesson there. Industry itself started when the steam engine was invented way back 1784. Okay, suddenly the job of 100 people could be done by 2 people using a big steam engine, the size of an entire room. Okay, then after about 90 years or so, electricity got invented and it became part of our homes. Okay, so you had motors, you had generators, you had assembly lines. Okay, Ford made the first car on assembly line, Model T Ford. Okay, till then Ford was making 1 car in 30 days. From Industry 2 onwards, Ford started making 30 cars in 1 day. Big change, changed the entire industry, changed our homes. Okay, changed our domestic lifestyles as well. So fast forward another 100 years and you had computers, and all your data, all your computations, all your record keeping moved to computers. And computers were still not controlling other machines. It was people controlling machines. Computers were not driving cars there. People were driving cars, but computers are keeping records. Okay, and that is Industry 3.0. That is where we are right now. The entire world largely is in 3.0. Some of the very top players, if you go to in Talegaon, there's a plant from General Motors which is making the Chevy Beat car there. They have started a very big 10-year program to adopt Industry 4. Okay, so the big players right now just started. These big changes always start with the top players and then trickle down, percolate down to rest of the industry. So that change has started just about maybe 2-3 years ago. All right, and we are heading into Industry 4. What will that look like? Industry 4, Amazon guys will not drive up a van. Amazon parcels will be delivered probably through drones. The Uber and Ola have already brought out self-driving cars in Europe and California. Okay, so your taxi will come to you without a driver. Okay, your fridge might order milk from Amazon, which will be delivered over a drone. When you want to talk about your air ticket reservation, there will be bot responding to you. So that's the Industry 4 world we are heading towards, and many big changes are going to happen. Okay, it started about 10 years ago, but the next 30 years we are going to make this massive transition to Industry 4, and all of us are going to be part of it, especially people who are on the consuming side of the technology spectrum. Okay, so there are people who are creating the technology, right? That is the IT industry. I'm not talking about engineering streams. You could be an avionics engineer and still work in the technology industry. You could be one of my bosses in the programming industry was a lawyer. So it's not much to do with your base qualification. It's what your career choices are. Okay, so you guys, so if you look at mechanical, civil, avionics, transport, logistics, these are the consuming bits. Unless there's demand from people who are using these technologies, what are the providers of this technology going to be about? Okay, so people in this room right now, 5 years from now, are going to play a major role in how Industry 4 shapes up, especially in India, but also in the rest of the world. So you are the key to all this thing. All right, congratulations, no pressure. So this is why we are having this session. This is why, because of this one slide, I was personally very keen to talk to mechanical and civil students here, and thankfully, because of the help from the institute, this session is happening. Okay, so let's say many of you will join core industry in mechanical and civil. Some of you may also choose to join technology industry, right? A lot of people come from all kinds of engineering streams to technology industry. What is in it for you then? Okay, if you're not on a consumer side, if you're on a producer side, just take a look at these different technologies. Okay, if you're preparing for a technology career, you're going to be studying and getting prepared to answer questions about these technologies. Okay, all of these things are mostly virtual world technologies or purely physical world technologies like robotics, which are entirely on the physical world. They don't do much interaction with the virtual world. Okay, but other than that, everything else is a virtual world technology. Whenever these technologies want to talk to each other, whenever using a mobile phone you want to switch your AC on, what Amitabh Bachchan does, right? Or Morrison Garage's car you can start while you're even in your building. So whenever you want one of these technologies to talk to something in the real world and another technology, that path goes through IoT. Okay, so even if you're not going to be on the consuming side, let's say you're on the producing side of technology, your path will cross with IoT. Okay, there's no question about it, and it'll happen very soon. So no matter what part of technology world you're going to work into, IoT is going to be your friend anyway, right? So it makes a lot of sense whether you are working in the consuming side, which is a much bigger percentage of the pie, or you're working on the technology producing side, which is where we'll also see your representation. IoT is going to be necessary in your toolkit there. Okay, and this is called convergence of technologies. Technology, we don't look at them one by one anymore. There's nothing you can build, even if you have to do a simple thing like this. I don't know whether you can see my camera. Can you see my camera?
Yes.
So even if it's a simple thing like this remote control, I'm pressing a button and the volume on the TV goes up. There are 3 technologies at play here. All right. So nothing can be accomplished by a single technology. We need a confluence of many technologies coming together to do any simple or complex project these days. And IoT specializes in this. The definition of IoT is a range of different technologies, physical world technologies and virtual world technologies, which are playing together to get the solution built. Okay. So this is for you who want to create a career in the IT side. Few more slides there. Why IoT again here for those of you who want to create these waves of technologies. So these largely the world accepts that these 7 technologies are driving the technology frontier forward. Okay, so we call them this. We have branded it as Saptarishi. Why? Because if you look at each star alone, it's just a point of light. But when you connect the dots between stars, you get a constellation, and then you know the direction. So if you keep your eyes on what is happening with these 7 technologies, you know where the entire tech industry is moving. Right, so always connect the dots. A quick note here. So here also IoT we have spoken about data science. No matter where you are, data science. If you are a fresh graduate who's just joined a job and you have Excel skills, Microsoft Excel, where you can whip up some very quick data analysis, you are golden. Okay, nobody does that in first year. All right, 5G is going to transform all industries. If there was no 5G, there were no self-driving. There would be no self-driving cars. To be honest, right? Cloud. 5 years ago, people didn't know anything about cloud. Today, if you don't know cloud, 5 years later, you will not have a job, kind of thing. Okay, AR, VR, augmented realities, virtual realities, simulations. More than the tech industry, it is the consuming industry for simulation and virtual reality that's going to do the wonders, right? Machine learning and blockchain, the 2 extreme ends, are still largely in the virtual world, but they have massive applications. Forget about techniques, forget about engineers. Bankers are learning what is machine learning and what is blockchain for their security purposes. So as engineers, definitely we are affected by these technologies. Okay, so these 7, keep an eye on these 7 technologies. If you are fond of technology landscape, this will tell you where the industry is going. And once again, IoT there's a reason I put IoT at the center, because if you know IoT, you are going to interact with all of these technologies. So you get a gateway. You get to learn a little bit about all of these, and you get a gateway into, okay, now after doing IoT, I know about 5G and data science and cloud. So let me learn more about cloud. So that's what we call as a gateway technology. So whether you're on the consumer side or on the technology side of the spectrum, IoT is going to be a big asset in your toolkit. All right. And so look at it this way. So if you are aspiring to join the IT career, this will open opportunities for you. A mechanical or civil engineer who has this qualification, not just a skill, this is a qualification on your degree, will be even more impressive than one of the electronic stream guys having this. And I would urge, I think we have members of faculty here, when people come for placement, when companies come for placement, somebody might say that we are only trying to hire electronics or computer grads. So as an institute, we should make a point that we have an honors course or a minors course where even our civil and mechanical branches are qualified in IoT and IT and cloud and data and everything. So you must also include all branches in this. So the institute should leverage this skill for the placement purposes also. All right. Now, let's talk about why do we want to do it this way? Why not ask you to do a external course? Many reasons. Firstly, it takes you closer to the international standards and higher education. It gives you a credit-based scheme. You can choose, I want to do, so this entire course is a 20 credit course, okay, spread over 4 semesters, so 5 credits per semester. So it gives you a lot of leeway when you're applying for higher studies, when you're applying for jobs. You can say that, okay, I've done 20 extra credits over and above my BE into IoT. All right, so it gives you a very nice quantifiable scale for what extra you have done. Industry is all about what extra you have done. When you sit your interviews, people will barely ask you, okay, explain me what you did in your 4 years. That is expected of you. But what more have you done beyond those 4 years? That's where these credits come into play. It's a gateway to higher education. You will get more score if you're having more credits there, whether it's GATE or whether it's GRE or whether it's TOEFL or whatever it is, okay? One of the biggest reasons for including this in the minor courses, core industry, that's you guys, right? Mechanical, civil primarily are one of the fastest adopters beyond the technology industry like IBMs and Infosys and Tesla and all. It's the core industry which are fastest adopting these technologies, and they are looking for fresh talent, okay? Because I'll come to next slide also where we talk about being catalysts. But people who are in this industry today, their knowledge and their skills are 15 years old, okay? And it's very difficult to mold that skill into something as path redefining as Industry 4. So these industries are all looking for fresh talent who can speak this language, who can interface with the technology world, who are savvy in terms of how to use these technologies. So you're going to be golden for these people, okay? And more participation in research and niche technologies we are missing. As a country, we are missing this component. It's increasing a little bit, but definitely more is required. So this gets you on a pedestal where you can take the next step and invest these technologies into researches, okay? Especially so, I've covered this point before, because let's say I am a technology provider, okay? I have great ideas, I am making great products and I'm willing to sell it. My experiences over the last 3 years, I have to spend 2 to 3 hours even telling these companies, small and large companies, that what can you do with these technologies. Now just imagine if the consumer side doesn't even know what they can do with this, how can the providing side sell it to them? So for there to be jobs and industry and opportunities for the producing side of these technologies, the consuming side need to be aware. 80% of these products are consumed by you, right? Massive reason for you to know, because see, when you are in the industry, your boss or your CEO might say, hey, suppose you join General Motors as a mechanical engineer, okay, or you join Gammon India as a civil engineer, or GMR, right? You're building airports, and your CEO says, hey, I want somebody to interact with Copper Cloud to build IoT systems for my company. And your hand should go up. Hey, I know this technology. I can be the point of contact between you and the technology provider. I can speak that language, right? So remember this slide, 80% comes from you. And this is, please remember this slide, very important. IT graduate, computer or an electronics graduate in Industry 4.0 skills is highly valuable to the tech industry today. Highly valuable. People are looking for these skills. However, a mechanical or civil graduate with the same skills is not only highly valuable, he or she is priceless to the core industry because of the reasons we have just discussed, okay? And we are happy that TCCR is starting this program so soon. People take a very long time to extend. People always have this bias that how will I invite non-electronic streams? PCCER is doing the absolutely right thing. You guys will have an advantage because other people are still sleeping, okay? I am here to kind of, you're already woken up. I'm here to shake you up once more. But most people are still sleeping onto this front. Okay, so you have an opportunity to become priceless in the core industry. One more reason, as I said, currently the core industry, even the technology industry, I worked for one of the world's biggest companies for 16 years. And they were at the cutting edge of technology 15, 20 years ago. Okay, the skills that I came into the industry with. By the time I left, people are saying that the world has changed, technology world has changed. Our people who were experts 15 years ago are not in a position to open up their minds and take us into the next century. So there's this role called catalyst. So all the big technology companies have started recruiting freshers, not for only development roles, but they have put a word in the resume called catalyst. We don't just want technicians, we want catalysts. And what this catalyst means is people who know the latest generation of technologies, not just know, they can convince their colleagues and their management and the rest of the organization to adopt these technologies. Okay, this is the need of the hour. Big companies know that if they do not adopt industry for today, in 5 years time they will not be there anymore. Okay, so that is why they're looking for catalyst, and when they look for catalyst, their spotlight should rest on you guys. Okay, that brings me to why us. PCCOR could equally well run it. It has very capable faculty members. They could run it by themselves. That's what many other colleges are doing. But PCCOR has taken a stance that we want people in the industry to come and train us. And that's where Copper Cloud comes in. So let me tell you just in 2 minutes what we do. Copper Cloud is a startup which is entirely focused on IoT. We came into being in 2018 with 2 goals in mind. Okay. First was bring industrial automation to Indian MSME sector. So for those of you who have not heard this term before, it's micro, small and medium enterprises. That's the biggest bulk of Indian economy, as you will see in the next slide also. All right. So the large players, General Motors and Mahindra and Tesla, go to the other large players. Where do MSMEs have anybody to build this technology for them? That's why Copper Cloud made it one of its missions. Okay, we want this technology to be available not only to the big players, but to everybody who's in the core industry. So that was our first objective. And second was, we saw, as I said earlier, that there was a big lag between what the industry is doing and what students are learning. Right, the lag could be as high as 5 to 8 years. So by the time you get into your careers, your skills are already a generation old. All right. So we said that is not acceptable. This lag should be brought down to 6 months. And that is what we have been doing ever since for the last 3 years. Okay. So with these 2 goals, Copper Cloud came into being. In the training field, let me not talk about the Industry 4 field, because that's where 75% of our work happens. We are not a training agency. Okay. We are practitioners. Our main bread and butter is we build Industry 4 systems for clients. People come to us that I want to know how my machines are performing. We design the system, we put sensors there, we create their dashboards, and we allow people to look at it. People come to us saying that there are accidents between my forklifts and people, please do something. We go and analyze the situation. We found the best way to sense the presence of people, and we execute the system. We are practitioners of this thing. Okay. And whatever we learn, we bring it back to you. Right. But in the training space also, we have done really well. And that's primarily because we are practitioners. We are not trainers. Okay. We have had the pleasure of training more than 5,500 students and 600 faculty members in IoT, cloud, all these related technologies. Right. Our training map I have put out there. It's a few months old. I think we have more dots on there. So there's a lot of credibility, fortunately, on the ground for what we have been doing. There's a lot of demand also. Okay. The greatest part is we have been having in these 5,500 people, we have had people from all branches of engineering. Okay. As the pie chart shows you. Of course, the CSC and ENTC are the biggest chunks. There also I have a concern. CSC needs to be more, right? But the thing that really pains me is what you see there, civil 1%. That means out of this 5,500, 1% are civil engineering students. 7% are mechanical engineering students. Aeronautics is 1%. Now this worries me, guys. Okay, and this should worry you also. Because as I said, you are the people who are driving the consuming side of this spectrum. Okay, you need to be equally aware. It should be a 40-60 or a 60-40 split between the consuming and the producing side. It is 90-10. Okay, and I'm going to make an appeal to all of you. Work with me, work with your college, work with the industry to bridge that gap. This Industry 4 revolution is not going to happen, at least in India, until you and your consuming sectors becomes equally involved here. All right. And once again, as I said, we are practitioners and in the education field. So that gives us a really good platform and we see things change, things move flowing in both directions. So I've even been doing internships. I've been offering internships to mechanical students because people have come to me after my workshops saying, I'm a mechanical student, can I do an internship in IoT? Why not? I'm the happiest person in the world. So people from the academics work with us to build these systems. People from my company come to the colleges to teach as adjunct or part-time faculty. So this is a very good fit, I would say. Okay. And best of all, I'm keeping for last, we already have set up a center of excellence in the institute, in PCCOER. This happened in February. I think at least faculty and HODs from all branches attended. And we are very thankful for that. Since then, we've already done 2 workshops. In June of first year, we are going to have awareness sessions for mechanical and civil branches. And I'm really hoping that we'll be able to do a workshop for both of these branches in June or July, because that's where we'll teach you both things. We'll teach you how to build also. In part, you should know the technologies at play, but more importantly, how to use these technologies, how to convince your organizations, how to be catalysts. As consumers, how do you drive this technology forward, not as producers? So both these 2 aspects we will cover. I'm hoping we'll be able to do this workshop in June or July, but the infrastructure exists, the processes exist, the will is there from the institute and everybody. It's just for the timing to work. All right. Okay. So more reason for us to partner to conduct this course. And this COE is for everybody, is for all branches, by the way. Okay. Now let's come to the last part. Why are we talking about it now? We didn't talk about it last year. We didn't talk about it year before that. What's happening now? Okay. So let's cover that for a bit. First and foremost, right, there's this big realization now that IoT is a very cross-disciplinary subject. Machine learning is largely in the domain of programming. Data is largely in the domain of data scientists, right? 5G is largely in the domain of ENTC. However, IoT needs everybody, okay? And the great part is, and this is the biggest barrier when people come to me saying that, I'm a civil engineer, I'm an electrical engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer, I don't know Python. Should I even try doing IoT? Yes, these are all myths, okay? Ki I need to be a good programmer or technologist. You need to be a good engineer. You need to know what you're building. You need to know how it needs to work. You need to know the use case, okay? Fortunately, IoT is very cross-disciplinary. Slowly, you can see the entire landscape moving away from dependency on coding. And there are beautiful tools where you drag and drop the entire system in place. So most of our competitors are still in the Python and Java world. They take 6 months to build an IoT system. We build it in days or weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. All right, because we don't do any programming, almost zero programming, maybe just 5% is programming, everything else is tools. So the ecosystem is supporting the fact that IoT is a special place where you're not going to have people who are coming from programming backgrounds. So we need to create tools where a mechanical, a civil, a logistics engineer, a metallurgy engineer should be able to build these systems. And that's, I know some of you have visited a site called Wix.com. It's, if you want to build a website on your own, you don't need to know HTML now. Okay, you can go to Wix, drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop. In half an hour, your website will be up and running, working. You can even start doing business on your website. Not a single line of code being written. Because we know that people who will use these services are not going to be all programmers. But why should that stop them from participating? So same is happening with IoT. If you have never written a single line of code in your life, if you have never built a single circuit in your life, don't worry. There are tools and there are trainings that you'll get where all those things will get leveled out. What matters is not how good a programmer you are. What matters is how good an engineer you want to be. All right. So don't worry about this. Right. And now let's come to this part. What's happening now? First part is, of course, this entire ecosystem has come up in the last 5 to 6 years where everybody is welcome here. Right. By all accounts, second big thing in India, at least, why we are talking about this now. See, the last 20 years of India's story, where India has emerged from a very concerning position to one of the leaders in technology and commerce, that was fueled by the IT industry largely, last 20 years. Okay, that is stable, that is mature. There's a big bulwark already behind there. Okay, the next 20 years, and I'm basing this on all the news reports you have read on from the last 3 years. Okay. Manufacturing and infrastructure, which is primarily the domain of mechanical and civil. These 2 industries are going to drive the India story for the next 20 years. Everybody is talking about it. There are huge opportunities created, and we are inviting rest of the world. to come and make in India, and people are not going to come unless both these two things are there. So, and you can assume, you can look forward to really bright future, because the next 20 years, which is also going to coincide with the Industry 4 revolution completing, is yours, so to speak. All right. So this is one of the big things that's happening, and why we should talk about this now. 5 years, 5 years from now, they'll be too late. Now is the right to talk about it. Okay. And let me, right. So all these good things are going to happen. But of course, this is an extra thing. This is a new feather in the cap you want. Okay. So you're going to have to work a little bit more for it. This is not something that, okay, you're getting for free in addition to your BE. You know, 4 years ke saath mein aur ek degree free. It's not that. Nothing is free. You have to put in effort. By free, I don't mean money. I mean, there's an effort investment. Okay. So for those of us who are happy to do just 8 semesters and get our degrees and move on and do a regular job, fine. You know, this is not probably the best place, but I know that most of you don't think that way. There's a little bit more effort you need to put in. How much of effort? There are 20 more credits spread over 4 semesters. Roughly in terms of hours, you're looking at 50 to 60 more hours of work in every semester that you will come. And this is a common course. So all branches, all 4 branches are going to be in the same classroom. Me and my team is going to conduct all these classes, at least for your batch. Okay. And you need to put in 50 to 60 more hours in one semester. So to put this in perspective, in the industry, we call 40 to 50 hours as one working week, 5-day work. Okay. So this is about 1 week to 10 days of more effort in a semester. Okay. For which the reward is priceless. So I would say this is a very small price to pay in terms of effort and time for what you're really getting. Okay. And this is not, if you do the same thing after you become an engineer, you go to Coursera or you go to an IIT course or you go to Amazon or Azure and say, give me a certificate, that will not have the same value that you will have by having it minor in addition to BE mechanical. Abhijit is a minor in IoT. This you will get on your degree, and no external certification can match that level. Okay. And lastly, with Copper Cloud in the picture, as I said, we are doing this in the real world. Okay. So the kind of exposure you will get, the kind of training you will get is not going to be in the lab or in the textbook. After covering whatever the syllabus wants us to cover, we will go beyond and teach you stuff that when you start speaking in an interview, people will think, hey, how is this guy so good? How is this guy knowing all these things which nobody else in a student level knows? Okay. So that is my promise to you. So this is the effort investment required. There's also, I will invite my senior director, I think Brigadier Devgirikar is here, who's the senior director at Copper Cloud. Brigadier sir, can you also give us a quick idea about the financial aspects of this course?
Good morning, participants. I am Brigadier Devgirikar. I am the Director Operations of Copper Cloud, and our team is having this association with PCCOR. Abhijit has covered most of the technological aspects of this program, the honors, and he's talked about the effort in terms of investment in terms of effort. Now, this 20 extra credit means you will be aware your normal semesters, one semester is equivalent to 20 to 25 credits. And over 4 semesters or 4 years and 8 semesters, you do about 200 credits. And this 20 credits is just 10% of that. And that too you have to do over 4 semesters, your 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th semesters. Okay. Which in effect about 50 to 60 hours, which is 1 week in terms of a technology or a professional this thing. The other investment is obviously finances. That's a material thing. We should take note of that also. As I said that this 20 extra credits is equivalent to almost 1 semester. And almost generally the fees of a regular batch of engineering is say around 1 lakh rupees. So per semester, the usual expected fees to be paid is around 40 to 50,000, maybe 40,000. Okay, this is a university degree proper. So for all university qualification, you have to pay the fees. So in a normal course, it would be expected to pay about 40,000 for this extra semester or extra qualified over 4 semesters. But this being the first to start, the universities have been very kind and they have left it to the discretion of the colleges. And PCCOR which they want this benefit to be to accrue to most of you, I think they have pitched it at just about 2,500 per semester. The situation may not be so after 2 years down the line. University may finalize this fee structure and all that, but right now it's a golden opportunity from this financial side also. 2,500 for a semester worth of this thing. We normally charge this 2,500 for a 3-day workshop, working professionals workshop for 2,500 to 4,000 rupees. It is peanuts, and I think PCCOR is very considerate. They have taken note of the pandemic situation also and all that. So it's a very, very good start as far as this is concerned. I would add one more thing. Abhijit has already covered most of these things, the opportunities and all. Abhay, you have that size and shape thing coming up after mine? Oh, you are muted.
Yeah, they are coming up.
Yeah, so I will not touch upon that. All that I would say is mechanical side is very well known, the industry and all that. See, India has a dream of 5 trillion economy over 10 years next. And the only 2 or 3 these things are, one is the agriculture and one is the industry. Agriculture to a large extent is dependent on so many factors which may be beyond the control of the human. You know, environment, this, climate and rains and whatnot. What is in our control we can really do is the manufacturing and infrastructure setup. Now, infra, I would just like to say that particularly goes to the civil, which mechanical has been covered to a great extent. Smart cities. Around 400 cities in India are going to be made smart cities over maybe 10 years next. Your metro. You know, 10 years back, there were only 1 or 2 stations which had metros. Now, almost in a state, there are 10 or 12 towns which are having metros. And this will go on expanding. Airports, seaports, waterways, flyovers, you name it. There's so many of the opportunity for infrastructure projects. And these are the 2 infrastructure projects as well as industry gives you the maximum scope for this mechanical and civil. Okay. And this is the right time to position yourself for that position. You have 2 more years to go for getting the degree. I am sure when you do our workshops or when we do a webinar on IoT today, you are just given a glimpse of what is IoT. In the 2-hour session that we plan to do in June, you will know much more details of these things. And but this session was preponed because I believe they have to finalize the number of students and all and those modalities for working this course. That's why we were invited to do this talk. And we took it prior to giving you that IoT webinar or IoT workshops. Okay. So my request to you is make this is a golden opportunity. Please make use of it. We will be there to support. Institute is giving you all the encouragement. Thank you very much.
So thanks very much, Brigadier Sir. I have a few more slides because they were hidden, so they didn't come up in the first round, but just 4 slides more. Let me cover that. There's also a question from Omkar. So Omkar is a great question that tell us more about the course offered in PCCOR as per second-year student. So 2 things there, Omkar. Firstly, the honors and the minor course we are talking about now, all of you are probably from second year who are just transitioning into your third year. So you're going to start this course in your immediately coming semester, in the 5th semester onwards. Okay. So if you're in a second year right now, just about to enter third year, this starts now. This starts 1 month, 1.5 months from now. All right. So this is there for you. Apart from that, for the larger college, whether you're in first year or second year or anywhere else, we are also running a series of workshops under the Center of Excellence banner. Okay. So that is, those courses are there. I'm going to share my number at the end. You can talk to me afterwards. You can send me a message. I can tell you about those ad hoc courses. But I would say far more than the ad hoc courses, the honors course will give you the real value, or the minor course will give you the real value in this whole thing. A workshop is fine if you just want to take a quick look at it and do 1 or 2 projects. If you want to build a career out of it, you can't beat the minor degree. Okay. So that is a little bit information, but of course, I'm happy to talk more, Omkar, if you have more questions. Okay. So let me come back to this. What else is happening? Why we are introducing this course now? As I said, So why is now a great time? So this is coming from specifically some research into the mechanical and civil sectors. All right. IT sector we have covered. We have covered a bit of mechanical and civil. Let me show more. So this is a chart from December from last year, that these big agencies like Accenture and everybody keep doing surveys in the industry. So they asked manufacturing sector companies as well as some construction based companies, largest companies in the world, how well do they understand industry 4? So let's assume now you have undergone this course for next 4 semesters, 5, 6, 7, 8 semesters, and you're ready for the industry. What are you going to find the industry? What state will it be in? Only 8% of these people said that we understand industry 4 well. That means 92% people are dabbling here. They don't really understand what is happening, and they don't have the people to get them over the threshold. Okay. So this 8% is people who know and taking the next step, like General Motors and Tesla and all. Everybody else will potentially depend on you and your generation to hold them by the hands and lead them across the street. All right. So this is one metric you should keep. And the civil and construction industry and architecture industry is very much same. Okay. Let me give you another piece of the puzzle. Okay. And I think today's generation, I'm very proud of one thing, that you're also looking for entrepreneurship opportunities. Okay. So let me ask this question here. If anybody in this audience, if you have ever dreamed of starting your own company, please type a yes in the chat box. Even if it's like I'll start something 10 years later or 15 years later, or I'll start something 5 years or 2 years later, type a yes. I want to know the number. And my metric is 20%. Typically in today's audience, 20% hands go up. 3 years ago, 10% hands would go up. 2 years from now, maybe half the hands will go up. So already I'm having more than 10 hands up. And this is the beauty of your generation, guys. Okay, you're not drawing a box around yourself. So the next 2 slides are for you. All right. So what is happening in the industry? All these great things are happening. People don't know. People are looking for expertise, etc., etc., etc. What is really happening? Okay. So let me show you. There's a concept of missing middle. All right. I'm showing you a graph from Australia right now. Bear with me for 2 minutes of economics. Then we'll come back to engineering. So this is a typical graph of developed countries, where the x-axis shows you size of the company and the y-axis shows you what percentage of that country's business is composed of this size. For example, about 60% of companies in Australia are micro companies, okay, very smallest companies. Then there's a very wide middle. I'm coming to the entrepreneurship aspect after this. There's a very wide middle where they're mid-sized companies, okay? And there's a very small tail of big giants like Google or Mahindra, or not Mahindra in Australia, Qantas and Airlines and everything, okay, big players. So this is what a typical healthy curve looks like. Now let's look at what Indian curve looks like, and any South Asian country looks like this. Very, very skewed curve. Almost all our companies are micro, okay? On the other end of the scale, we have a fair share of large companies. We have our Tatas, our Reliances and our Mahindras, all that is good. But the problem is there is nothing in the middle. There is no mid segment, okay, which it is there in the other countries, right? And this is a problem. And this is such a big problem that we have given a name to it. It's called a missing middle problem. We are missing this middle. Why is it important to have a middle? Because when we say, as Brigadier Sir was saying, that we want to become $1 trillion economy, we are saying even today that we'll snatch business out of China and US and Brazil, and we'll compete with Taiwan and all these players, right? Where does that happen? That happens in the middle. It's the middle where companies are large enough, rich enough, have enough innovation, are looking for things like IoT and all, where they can, takkar de sakte hain in the broader stage. And this is exactly the part which is missing for us, okay? Why it is missing? Don't we want these micro players want to come to the big leagues? They do. One big problem, as I encounter this every week, people are not even aware what is possible. People are not aware that they can manage their delivery and tracking using RFIDs. People are not aware. One big problem in manufacturing is called work in progress solutions. That I have a 5-stage manufacturing process and I want to know what part of my assembly line is causing the bottleneck. And this is not a difficult problem to solve. Only problem is people don't know, people don't ask, and people like us don't go to them and tell this is easy. So just 2 years ago, when we started talking to people about this, these industry owners are all over it. Hey, it is so simple. We can do it. Why haven't we done this before? And there's a big demand coming. And when all these good things start happening, you can see people moving from micro to medium, because now they are bigger, richer, have more technology. And so far, this was one great item for everybody, whether you're trying to be entrepreneurs or not. So far, it was thought of as a volunteer. I am a visionary company owner, so I want to do this. Today, people are forced to migrate. Okay, 3 years ago, somebody said that, yeah, we don't need it. It's a great product you are doing, but we don't need it right now. Today, the same companies are coming to us that our auditor has come and he says, I'm not going to look at paper files. Why don't you have Industry 4 systems where everything is coming on a computer screen? So these people are says, we will not get business. Auditors will not sign us off. Big players, Tata and Eicher and GM will not give us contracts unless we have these systems. So both sides of the coin.
Customer audit. Let's clarify it. Customer audit.
Customer audit. So if my client is making chassis or wheelbases for Tata, Tata does a customer audit once a year. And today Tata has come and said, hey, I'm not going to look at your paper files. And one more thing, Tata says, अगर आपकी machine यहाँ बंद पड़ती है, तो मेरा truck वहाँ बंद मुंबई में बंद पड़ जाता है बनना. So in my office in Tata, I want to see how your production machines in Pune are performing. Okay, which is all about IoT in Industry 4. So now people who didn't want to do this are being forced by the market economy to adopt these technologies, right? And this is where our opportunity is for people who will work for large or small companies, or people amongst us who want to start. There are a lot of yeses here. I'm very happy about that. I do a mentoring session for people who want to start companies also once a month. So if somebody is interested, you can send me a message. I'll invite you to the next session. Okay. This is where our opportunity is. This is the shape of your opportunity, guys. Because who is going to get this bump micro companies into medium? Who is going to teach them and build those technologies for them? People from outside are not going to come. People like you, people like me on the creating technology side, people like you, because you will be the golden people who know, who are savvy, all the good things that I said. You will go to the CEO and say, hey, why are we doing it on paper? There are systems available. I know how to build it. I know what technologies to do. I know how these things should be priced. I know what the budget should be. And I know people like Copper Cloud who are building it out, or not just Copper Cloud, other companies also. But you are, that's why I said people like you will be priceless for these companies. Okay. This is the shape of your opportunity. Even if you're going to start, if you're a civil engineer savvy about these technologies, you can start a firm that I am a civil engineering company which specializes in Industry 4 technologies, and you can offer your services to GMR and Gammon and everybody else. Okay. So this is the shape of your opportunity, friends, right? And what's the size of your opportunity? It is huge. 95% of Indian economy is micro and 99% is MSME. It's just the top 1% like GM and Mahindra and Tata who have started becoming aware. 8% are in that 1%. Even all of them are not aware. So those are the people who have just started becoming aware. The remaining 99% is your playground. If you can capture 0.001% of this market, you could be the next Mahindra, you could be the next Tata, you could be the next Tesla, for example. Okay, so this is how huge this opportunity is. And just a point of clarification, when I say micro, these are not tin sheds, these are not small players. They are multi-crore revenues every year. They are companies with 3 or 4 factories to their name. Just when you compare them with Mahindra and Tata, they appear small, but the micro segment is a huge amount of business right there. Okay, so the shape of your technology is this, and the size of your technology is this. And I'm going to make an appeal to everybody, especially on the consuming side of the spectrum, that do work with us, and we have to make this magic happen, right? So are you going to work with me on this? Say yes if you will. Sagar is already there. Sagar has said yes already. Excellent, great. So this is what I like about the students today, that you will go beyond your books, you'll go beyond your exams and think what needs to be done out in the real world. Okay, so thanks for that. And kind of magic that will happen is this. We already talked about autonomous vehicles. That's what the road looks like to an autonomous vehicle using IoT technologies, by the way. If you go to some of these countries which have allowed these on the road, Tesla is putting a screen in the passenger seat. So the humans can see what the car is seeing. And this is what the road looks like to car. Okay. So that's for the mechanical guys to think about. But just having a smart car is not enough. You need to have smart infrastructure to make use of that technology. That's for the civil guys here. Okay. So this already started using the smart tag which in India we have started rolling it out. What is that? That is IoT technologies. The road has become smart to know what car it is. The car has become smart enough to do the payments automatically. That's a very, very small part of your industry 4 in the infrastructure world. Okay. And this is the direction we are heading into. Okay. So, and if you thought all this is happening in California and Europe, let me give you a wake up call. This is a job advertisement from 3 months ago from Tata Motors in Nigdi, which is like 5 kilometers from your college. Okay. Just read the red part, right? They want embedded developers and mechanical engineers for Pune for developing e-vehicles. And there are similar ads I see from civil side also. So this is the future of jobs. We can not only be mechanical engineers or only be civil engineers or only be electronics or computers or IT engineers. Today, we need to be engineers in specialty. So I'm an engineer, for example, with a major in civil and a minor in IoT. I am a mechanical engineer, major in mechanical, minor in machine learning. So that's the kind of profile we should develop. And why we should develop that profile, let me show you also. This is a slide I present to all students, whether you're trying to set up companies. I'll just take 2 more minutes, then we'll be done, okay? So this is a slide we show to people, whether you're a student trying to do well, whether you're looking for a job, whether you're a faculty member, whether you're trying to set up your own company. A very, very famous management guru talk here, okay? So how do you excel? How do you succeed in anything? There are 4 quadrants to your success, all right? What you're doing, you could be unique, but not valuable. You could do something nobody has ever done, but nobody wants it. Like there was a company in Chicago 10 years ago that was building pet rocks. They were selling rocks as pets. Nobody wanted it, went for a toss, okay? Unique but not valuable, nobody will look for it. Not unique and not valuable, even worse. Why are we even doing this? We might as well be at home. Now, valuable and unique. This is where most students, most employees, most startup companies are. They're doing something valuable, but there are 50,000 other people doing it. If I'm making a phone, if I'm making a power bank, there are a dozen options on Amazon.in that sell power banks. So you'll always compete on money. You'll always compete on the pricing, okay? No matter how good your idea is. Where you really want to be is in the top right quadrants. Whatever you do, whatever your profile is, whatever your brand is, you need to be unique and valuable. Whatever you know, your skill set has to solve real world problems in a good way. That's value. And you need to be one of the few people in the world who can do that. That makes you unique. If you're unique and valuable, which means if you're a mechanical engineer with a minor in IoT or a civil engineer who is qualified in industry 4, that puts you bang in the center of that quadrant, and companies will come and look for you. Okay. So no matter what it is you want to do, whether it's studies or setting up your business, always aspire to be in the top right quadrant here. Okay. By the way, this Gyan comes from a guy called Guy Kawasaki, who worked with Steve Jobs to set up Apple. So we're talking about real credibility behind this philosophy here. Okay. So this is where we want to be. There's a question from Omkar. I will answer that towards the end. I have just 1 slide left. So let's be unique. Let's be valuable. And I am so happy that PCCR is introducing this for all branches, especially mechanical and civil. This is a doorway to opportunities. Okay, the door is there. We are giving you the keys to it. You need to turn the key and open the door. And next step would be, I think both your departments will give you a Google form. I think sir has already shared. We'll ask you about feedback and ask you whether you are interested in joining these course, enrolling for this course for a little bit of effort and for almost negligible financial investment. You are getting the keys to this doorway. So do enroll. I will urge, if I can urge everybody to sign up, I would do that. Okay. So do join this, come in that unique and valuable quadrant, and great things will happen. All right. So let's work together. I put my credentials and my contact details here. While you read it, I will invite more questions. And while you're thinking of more questions, I will go to Omkar Sarumke's question. Omkar asked a good question. Please share an experience.
Abhijit, can I have 30 seconds before you go into the Q&A session?
Yeah, sure. So Omkar, give me 1 more minute. Yes, Brigadier sir, go ahead.
Yeah, just hardly 30 seconds. You see, I am a mechanical engineer myself of 1972 vintage. I know how much is mechanical change now. In my time, the automobile was the top of mechanical, and it only had an alternator or a dynamo as the charging circuits or something. Now everything mechanical has got a lot of electronics in. So these are one part. Secondly is my experience of last 5 years into this corporate sector is the students, when they pass out after the 4th year, they start running around for getting extra qualifications. They keep asking, yeah, ye acha hai ki wo acha hai, and then they will spend 10, 20, 40,000 rupees for those ad hoc courses being offered by online systems or these things. Spend a lot of money just to add value. Mechanical has always been, जैसे बोलते सदाबहार बोलते थे, it was known to be for 50 years as the branch which is most sought after. Unfortunately, that equation has changed a little now. Same is for the civil also. I would not, when I say mechanical, I'm talking about both. So an ordinary, say a BE mechanical, a BE civil, and a BE mechanical with a minor in IoT makes a hell of a lot of difference even on the job front. You will be head and shoulders above the others only from a university degree qualification point of view. And add to that the industry perspective that you be put through in these courses. And when you face the interviews, and that is coming on the IoT field from a mechanical or civil engineer, I tell you, this will be a deadly combination. This is so, it's coming only for a very, very dirt cheap, hardly any money, as he says, negligible financial. Yes, one other thing is we are very grateful to the PCCOER for giving us this platform, especially for mechanical and civil. You recall the pie chart that Abhijit has shown to you, only 7% mechanical and 1% civil. Now we wanted to change this thing, and we wanted to make a start, and this is because of the ignorance. People did not know that this is available, this opportunity is available for mechanical, electric, civil also. So we thought that we will address it and try and bring in this thing. And yesterday also about 120 students attended our session in electronics streams. Today also it is around 100. 200, we will be very happy. Why? We can make 2 divisions out of this batch. I will be very, very happy if we make 120 and make it 2 divisions of this IoT honors special course of that 5 credits per semester. Best of luck to all of you. Please exercise your options diligently, and Copper Cloud is with the institute and with the students in our endeavor. Thank you.
And before I go to question, one special note from me that we have been working with institutes for last 3 years, okay? And there are only 2 or 3 institutes in all of India we have spoken with so far who have shown such an eagerness and such a willingness to go out of the way for students. PCCR is definitely at the top of our list. So me and Brigadier sir always give an example of PCCR that this is what we look for when we are approaching. Most institutes don't show interest, so we don't chase up with them. We don't want to work with institutes who are just going to put a tick in the box that university has asked us, so we'll do. PCCR is different. PCCR is, I don't know how much of these students know, but in the behind the curtains, the institute is really taking pains for bringing the very best of everything for students. So in case probably your teachers will not talk about it, but I want to make sure that there are really good opportunities that not many colleges are offering, but PCCR is. So my thanks to the institute for that. With that, let me go to yes, Sahil sir.
Yes, sir. My voice is audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I hope all of get the information related to that BE honoring course. So I'm here to present the vote of thanks to sir for such a wonderful session. This is an actual fruitful sessions, and we got full of that webinar also was full of knowledge and interesting things related to BE honoring. So the thing is that I already share one feedback link in your chat box. So dear students, you have to send that link in your official, unofficial group. So that will be better I also share the video link in your AC official, unofficial group. Okay. So thank you so much again, Abhijit sir, for this wonderful session.
Thank you so much, sir, for having me here. I'm going to stay on for 5 more minutes on the bridge because obviously Omkar's question is there, but other people might have questions. So whoever wants to talk, stay on. I'll be on this bridge for 5 more minutes. But thanks to Salvi sir and Bhavani sir for making this session happen. And we look forward to doing a more detailed workshop also, sir, for mechanical and civil in June and July.
Yes, definitely.
Right. Thanks, sir. Now let me quickly answer Omkar's question. Those who want to stay on, do stay on for more questions. So I think it's a great question. Omkar has asked that, can you share your experience in IoT with any of the industries in India? So definitely. So 3 years ago, I'll share this experience both ways. As somebody who's doing business for the first time. So nobody in our family last 6 generations have done business, right? So we are learning everything from scratch. And at the same time, nobody on the client side has used any of these technologies. People I spoke about, we are largely in industry 3. There are also companies we have worked with which are in industry 2. There are foot operated machine and just motor operated machine. There are no computers anywhere in their shop floor. To be honest, one of the biggest learning for me, to answer Omkar's question directly, our manufacturing sector largely is industry 2, and we are using production machines that places like Vietnam have discarded 6 years ago. And Vietnam has moved on to IoT, and 1 or 2 people manage an entire factory. We have 20 people managing 40 machines. Okay, so this is changing. 3 years ago, people were more reluctant. They needed more coding into at least telling what is possible. So we take our kids to show them. Okay, today people are more aware. People are asking better questions. So as a service provider, most people, when they're trying to sell something, they may try to hide the weaknesses. For people like us in Copper Cloud, our mission is not just to make business. Our mission is to make the world, at least India, adopt these technologies. So we are very happy when clients ask us this insightful questions, and that has started about a year ago. Okay, so we see a lot of big shift happening in the awareness levels. People are willing to pay money for these technologies because they see value in it. Okay, people are willing to trust startups like ours because people may have good experience in the past that startups have done good work and they're offering them better value than some very big companies, right? And most importantly, I think both the business landscape and the technology landscape are evolving side by side, and the financial landscape. There's business, there is technology, and there's money. There's this triangle, and all these three vertexes are evolving in a very synergistic way. They're supporting each other. All right, that is my experience. And of course, if you want to know more, there are many good stories I can tell you, Omkar. Not everything is bright and shiny and golden. There are challenges also. People who want to talk about challenges, I talk about challenges in my monthly meeting with my entrepreneurship group. Okay, lots of good stories, lots of learning stories. But all in all, I would say compared to 10 years ago, the outlook we are looking at the future of Indian industry, especially in these technologies, is very bright. I'm very happy with the shift I'm seeing in the outlook. So, short answer to a long, which actually this question.
Abhijit, though you have answered, can I just, I'm tempted to tell them about this one of the industries that we work with. He is in the fasteners division, and he is a third level vendor to Maruti. And his wish is to become the first rate vendor to the Maruti. What happens is, since he does not have the infrastructure, he cannot go and sell his product directly to Maruti. He gives it to somebody who gives it to somebody who is the first rate vendor for Maruti. His wish is to make it first vendor. And he says, when Maruti comes to me for audit, I have scored less than 20% marks out of that 100. I never get this. And so he went into this our system of automation to make them smart.
He gets 20. Yeah? He gets 20 out of 100.
Yeah, he gets 20 out of 100, and he wants to reach 80. And we have promised him, you do these things and you will get an 80 within next 2 years. Then when the Maruti comes back next again, every 6 months they do this thing. And today the same industry fellow, we have just fitted some pilot samples with him. It's an ongoing project. Very excited, his son, who is also joined the same industry, production engineer, came very excited and told us, sir, yesterday Tata came to us and they said, oh, you're doing this thing. I don't have this in many of my clients, these things, providers. So, and then he says, oh, sir, I'm now going into this also, into this also, and that also. That's the kind of a response that we had from this Omkar. If you are motivated by